recap, we have guests Rishi and Sam from FTC Team 11260 Upper Creek Robotics, who will be describing their design and engineering process throughout the season. And they'll also be providing tips and advice for teams to improve their efficiencies in building their robots.
Giving you a voice.
Making it loud our own way.
Welcome to the fun.
First Updates Now FTC is produced in partnership with the Orange Alliance. Make TOA your place to go for FTC team stats and event results at theorangealliance.org. And also, viewers like you. We need your help to keep fun loud, live, and independent. Help us by visiting our Patreon to pledge your support at patreon.com/First Updates Now. You can also support fun live on Twitch for a few bucks a month or by linking your Prime account for free and clicking subscribe.
Welcome to FTC Recap, where you get the breakdown and discussion of what is going on in the FTC community. From First Updates Now, I'm Ashray.
And I'm Abbas. We'd like to first give a warm welcome to our guests Rishi and Sam from FTC Team 11260 Upper Creek Robotics from Longmont, Colorado. In Skystone, they were part of the winning alliance at the Wyoming State Championship, finalist alliance at the Colorado State Championship, and second place in Spire at both state championships. During Rover Ruckus, even more impressive, they were the winning alliance second pick of the Houston World Championship Jemison division. If you have any questions for them throughout the show, make sure to tag at First Updates Now in the Twitch chat, and we'll be sure to get to them. In the later half of the show, we'll have a discussion about 11260's engineering design process and how they build super efficient robots.
There's a lot to cover in the show, so let's just get right into some of our headlines.
The Skystone SDK was updated about a week ago with a couple interesting changes that seem to be in preparation for the Ultimate Goal season. One thing that particularly interested me was the new practice timer with audio cues that would be built into the driver station app, as well as up to 2 times faster read speeds for I2C devices with small reads. Additionally, first added support for the Sony PS4 controller, which was given the go-ahead to be a legal controller, and the Ultimate Goal Game Manual, Part 1. What do you guys think about some of those changes?
Sounds pretty cool to use a new controller.
Mm-hmm.
I'd definitely be down to try that.
Yeah, and I really like the audio cues because I know really often we would download a third-party app and get timings mixed up and all of these things, but now it's going to just be a lot simpler.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's a lot cleaner too.
Yeah, I love the upgrades that First is making towards the whole virtual experience. It's going to be good.
Yep.
Yeah, so next up, we have some amazing new products from GoBuilder. Recently, GoBuilder released Hurricane Nuts, which can be used in Go Rails in a slightly weird fashion. So they allow you to place them into the Go Rail from any point along the side of the Go Rail. This makes using them so much easier. Next up, we have the Gecko wheels. The Gecko wheels are essentially compliant wheels made by GoBuilder, and they have a great friction, making them super effective for intaking tough objects like the stones in Skystone. And they also feature a special center, which make them really clean and sleek to install on any assembly with GoBuilder parts.
Yeah, I mean, I really liked how they had the center offset. So, you could change it based on your needs and have the Hyper Hub flush or, not flush if that's your thing. And I think it's a really great product, and I'm looking forward to if they come out with, more durometer ratings and other sizes too later in the years. All right. And actually, coming up this Sunday, September 6th at 12 p.m. EST, FTC Team 14481 Don't Blink is hosting a 90-minute webinar covering topics including space exploration, why people should go to Mars, and new technologies that are being launched soon. They have 4 speakers, including the CEO of the Mars Planet Organization, a testbed engineer at NASA, and a member of the board of directors at Princeton. If you want to win some GoBuilder goodies, please make sure to tune into the event for multiple giveaways.
I can't wait for that event. It seems like it's going to be a huge blast. As you all know, kickoff is right around the corner on September 12th, which is next Saturday. Fun FTC will be hosting a prediction contest where anyone can submit a prediction with information on what they think next year's game could possibly be. Keep a lookout on the First Updates Now Discord for more information to come soon. And the link is in the Twitch chat right now with for the
Discord.
The prediction. Yeah. So Abbas, what do you think will be a part of Ultimate Goal?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a pretty general consensus that shooting will be part of it to some extent. Yeah. I think what I'm interested to see is if there'll be any way to tell was the game changed to accommodate just half fields instead of like full fields? Because I mean, I know with Skystone, like a lot of people thought like the sky bridges could have been used for hanging, and like the game design committee, I think they said that like that was the original intention. It just didn't happen to pan out that way. But I think that'll be interesting to see like how the game was changed this year. I saw like a basketball theory by someone on the FTC Discord, which I thought was really interesting. Like a certain arc for 2-point shots and then farther out as 3-point shots into a goal. And I think that could definitely be something that's there. What about our guests, Rishi and Sam? Any thoughts?
I think that's something that would be really interesting is like visual cues for like whatever the goal or the hoop would be. Because obviously with shooting comes like vision. So like if you're shooting autonomous, it's kind of hard to predict where the ball is going to go. So.
Yeah, and I know, like, now that you talk about autonomous, Rishi, I think I haven't, like, really given autonomous a lot of thought, like, I've always just thought about Teleup and, just, like, shooting, but, like, I think it's going to be really interesting to see, like, what unique challenges First has come up with during the autonomous period. Sam, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be some sort of shooting game. It's just whether we're going to have to shoot, like, a lot of small objects or a few really large objects, like a big basketball or something like a
and I think,
mineral.
One thing important to note with that is the human player will be returning this year. So, that'll be something cool. I really enjoyed the addition of the human player last year personally. And I think, like, initially a lot of people thought like whoever, anybody on the team can be the human player, but like going to like states competitions and at higher levels, I remember one match at states, like I was watching another team's human player and just like as soon as autonomous started, they just turned around and started sorting stones like nobody's business. And by the time Teleup was ready, they had 2 stacks of like really good stones and just stones they didn't want to use at all, and like that really helped because the team ended up double capping. And like you have to have a solid structure for a double cap.
I think one of the best things that I'm looking forward to with Ultimate Goal is going to be how first initially said that it was going to be like sports related. I think that's what the teaser was all about. But how are we going to do sports now that we don't have it's single player basically? So that's going to be something.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, because initially I was really looking forward to the whole sports aspect where we're going head to head sort of, maybe like a soccer match or something. But now there's none of that. So now it's going to be interesting, the whole defense dynamic without defense, I guess.
Sure. Yeah. I guess there's not a lot. We don't have to wait much longer. Only a couple more days.
Yeah.
So speaking of kickoff, for our final headline before we get into the interview with Upper Creek, I want to bring on our producer Tyler to discuss the FTC University Challenge.
Yeah, so if you didn't catch it last year, it's going to be bigger and better than ever. We have a couple colleges, primarily University of Nevada, Reno. I will actually be flying out to Reno to go film, where we'll be building a couple of robots in one weekend. So it's going to be starting on kickoff at about 2 p.m. Eastern. We'll start on Saturday, and we're going to run all the way through till about, I think it's 7 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. So we have some really cool stuff from both GoBuilda and Rev Robotics to give away, and some new components from both of them that will be going on those robots. But you'll be able to see things like testing out new field elements like you see here. We'll show you and break down how it works, breaking down strategies, actually building robots, and you're going to see some of the first matches in Ultimate Goal played. Last year we played 5 matches. We plan on doing even more this year, so you can actually see what the field looks like, how robots might be interacting with game pieces, and even more. So very excited for that. Make sure you check that out. Kickoff day. We also have from Electric Legends, we're going to be doing a Kahoot trivia contest on Saturday. And then we'll be doing a show with some of our hosts breaking down some of their thoughts and strategies as well, too. So make sure you check that out. Kickoff will be streaming the whole time, and tons and tons and tons of archive videos will be going up to our YouTube page. So make sure you check that out.
Awesome. I am so excited for that.
Yeah, same. Right, I know last year that was a huge source of inspiration for many teams in my area, including my own. So can't wait for it.
All right, let's get into the discussion.
Yeah. So before we delve into the engineering process, can you guys provide some context about the Upper Creek Robotics program? I know you all have a huge and really successful FRC team in addition to your amazing FTC team. So how often do you guys meet? How large is your team, and what resources do you guys have at hand?
All right, yeah. So we are actually based out of a large facility that we have that was initially for our FRC team that started like 10 years or so ago. And then we sort of moved into the building, and they have a machine shop with CNC mills, lathe, and like a bandsaw and many other tools that we can use to build high quality robots. And then for meetings, we normally meet like twice or 3 times a week, depending on how much stuff we want to get done. So like sometimes we'll just meet like once a week, and then during build season we might meet 2 or 3 or even 4 times in a week.
Yeah, and those meetings will generally go on for like 3 hours, and then it's important for us to kind of stagger who's coming into the building. Like if software and hardware are coming into the building at the same time, obviously there's going to be like, if hardware and software both want to practice with the robot, obviously there's going to be some conflict there. So it's always important for us to keep track of who's going in at which time. But there's also times where we both want to go in, like if we want to discuss something for the future. Obviously it's important to have hardware, both the hardware team and the software team there.
And Rishi, have you guys like laid out your plans yet for like what you're going to do with like all of the like COVID regulations and how you're going to be competing this year?
Yeah, we've definitely discussed it. I think we've definitely taken advantage of we've definitely utilized a lot of extra time like these past few weeks. Like we've been able to get a lot of the newer students up to date with the code and the framework and all of that, and then also how we build stuff. Yeah, just in terms of extra time and stuff like that.
And for our viewers out there, do you guys want to like formally introduce yourselves? Like, what's your role on the team? How long have you guys been in FTC, and things like that?
Yeah, so this is my 3rd year on the FTC team for Upper Creek, and I am the fab lead on our team. We're experimenting with a new lead system this year with like a hardware manager and a software manager, and then like different leads and stuff. And then, yeah, and I'm a junior as well.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, my name's Rishi. This is my 3rd year on the team. I'm a junior. And I am the software manager for the team.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah,
All right.
nice.
So as a robotics program, you guys have obviously been extremely fruitful in your endeavors of building robots and spreading STEM in the community at the same time. What do you think is like one of the most important things that contributes to your success every year?
I think one thing is like at the start of the season, it's always important to have some kind of plan and to stick to it. So like when we're coding autonomous, sometimes we find ourselves like diving deep, like the whole 3 hours that we'll meet, we'll be diving deep into one specific problem with our code. And we'll basically like waste the whole 3 hours basically doing nothing. So it's important for us to keep an open mind, like, and keep our goals set for the season. Like if we want to have at least a working autonomous done by a week before our first competition, then maybe we shouldn't go for the 4-stone autonomous if we don't have a reliable one. So just keeping a goal and sticking to it. And obviously it's good to be ambitious, but don't overwork yourself.
Yeah. All right. That's some really good advice for rookie teams, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know a lot of teams in my area at least have struggled with that component, and they'll just be stuck like not knowing where to go next or what to do. And that's always a good thing to, stay grounded and know and set proper goals for yourself. So another thing is that you guys always come up with some really innovative and creative designs. Like I loved your 6-wheeled robot in Rover Ruckus, where you guys went in and out of the crater. I thought that was amazing compared to other teams. But can you walk us through your process as soon as a game is released? How do you go about organizing yourselves, and what are some of the first steps you guys take?
So when we are first starting out, we just get as a team, and first we read the manual before we even think about or really talk about any sort of robot designs in specific. And then after we all read the game manual, we come together and share our thoughts on it and figure out like if there's any loopholes or whatever. And then after that, we want to figure out what elements are best scored, like which ones we should prioritize. And then after that, we want to figure out like what different types of mechanisms would work best for that. So like what kinds of intakes or what kinds of scoring mechanisms what drivetrains might be better or worse for the type of game elements and game that we see.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think a really good system that we've been using these past few years is we'll split up into little groups, maybe like of 3 or 4 after we've read the manual and we've obviously watched the video. And this group will consist, like, it won't be only software. The group won't be only software, only hardware. We'll have like a hardware person and a software person, outreach people all in each groups, and and we'll come up with just like no answer is wrong. Like if you're trying to like brainstorm any mechanism or any idea for a robot, we'll kind of just like write it down on a whiteboard, and then we'll all come back together and present. And I think that's it's one of the main reasons we have, like you're asking about, like the bogey base and like these kind of out of the box ideas. I think it's that brainstorming that we do together at the beginning of the season.
Sure.
Yes, that definitely gives us some creative ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I know something that like a lot of teams struggle with is balancing building the robot, programming it, and doing driver practice. So do you guys want to talk a little bit about how you solve this issue?
So normally at the beginning, after we like figure out what we want to do, kind of, we have a schedule built out of when we want certain mechanisms to be done in the season. So like we would say we want our drivetrain to be done by this date, and then we want our intake and our lift to be done by this date, and we want to integrate it all together and have like a rough draft of our robot basically by this time. And then we want to delegate like a month to driver practice and programming practice.
And so you guys in Wyoming and Colorado, do you guys have leagues, or do you guys just have qualifiers and state championships?
We do not have leagues, unfortunately.
Okay.
I wish we did, because more competitions is always better.
Yeah. Okay. So you guys do have like that, like you don't have to have something ready for meet 1 and then something ready for meet 2. You guys have that time just at the end, or like you just have that set deadline. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should probably take a couple of the audience questions before we continue with our previous questions. So BSilver1 asks, is outreach shared between 11260 and FRC 1619, or does each team independently manage and report their outreach?
So the outreach is definitely individually managed. Sometimes we'll have opportunities that we share, like we have sometimes FRC and our FTC team will both go to different FLL events and kind of show off our robots. Like if there's an FLL student who is going to be too old to be an FLL, then it's important to show them that they also have a future in FIRST besides FLL. Yeah. There's FTC and FRC as well. Right. So there's definitely that, but there's also probably a bigger component of outreach stuff that we manage ourselves. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. So another question we have from the audience is from Gabatronics. And they're asking, is 11260 going to 3D print their chassis again for Ultimate Goal?
Well, actually this year we're definitely looking to do more with our machine shop. And so instead of 3D printing, my goal is to have a completely aluminum chassis instead of having a 3D printed and rev chassis.
I know for Skystone, my team 31-1, we had a completely aluminum chassis, and like we hand cut it all ourselves, and it was definitely a great experience.
Wow.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Team bonding.
All right. And then Arush Sharma 1 says, how do you guys prioritize outreach events, and what is your general timeline for preparing for an outreach event?
So I don't know if we necessarily prioritize certain outreach events over other ones, because we don't normally have ones that conflict.
Sure.
But like if the only ones we might like prioritize over others are like FIRST specific events over like maybe something like the Hour Center or something.
Do you guys want to talk like briefly about like some of the big outreach events you guys have done in the past, or like in the last year or two?
Yeah, sure. So last year at the kickoff, we did a presentation for chassis at the kickoff for, I think I said that, but yeah, we did a kickoff presentation. And then other ones, we've helped Girl Scouts get badges, which was an event that we paired with 1619. I'm sure we've done other big outreach events that I can't think of. Rishi, you have some?
Yeah, there's definitely some like outreach events. Like a lot of our team will have like specific interest in like what kind of outreach. So like my brother and I have been spreading STEM in like in our community in Broomfield, Colorado. So like we've been holding camps for students age like 5 to 10 to learn about coding and stuff like that. But there's also a lot of fun full team events that we've had. Like we've gone to the farmers market. We went to the Lego League competitions. We do that every year. It's a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. I think we should get back to the let's discuss that questions. Ashri?
Yeah. So closer to the end of the season, as you guys are preparing for, state championships and worlds, how do you guys decide what parts of your robot to improve on, and how do you go about polishing your robot to make it perform as well as possible on competition day?
Yeah, so that's like a really big part of the intake presentation that we're making this year is how to improve your testing and building like of your robot right before competition. And so I think the biggest part of improving your robot right before a competition is testing a lot, like driver practice, just like for many, many hours on end, like every time you meet, just to figure out what flaws your robot can have and like making sure your consistency is as good as it possibly can be. Because consistency is one of the most, if not the most important parts of an FTC robot to do well in competition. And so like we've had lots of problems last year with our lift and the rev slides and different string materials and greasing things. And it's a big mess when you look at consistency. And then like, of course, our lift broke its state, so it's not perfectly consistent, but it is something we all have to work on.
No, I remember something that Ethan, one of the original hosts, said during a show. He said, like, it went something along the lines of, like, good implementation can make a bad design work, and then good driver practice can make bad implementation work. And so, like, I think at the end of the day, it's really, I mean, obviously, the most ideal would be having, good design, good implementation, good driver practice. But really, it is, like, you can't discredit driver practice at all. It is really key to team success, I think.
And I know even last season, I witnessed a lot of teams that had the simplest designs of just, a simple claw, just grab and move the stones. But because of their practice, they're able to move them so fast back and forth that, it was negligent compared to some of the even better teams that had wheels and stuff.
I think a fantastic example of that is 3409 Astromech. Like they had a really simple and elegant design with their claw, but like at VMTI, I mean, they ended up first place, and I was watching their drivers matches, and I mean, they were just so efficient, like there was nothing more they could have done. And it was just, I'm sure it was just because of driver practice.
Yes, so, for sure. Like you can have a robot that isn't necessarily very complicated, but it can be a better alliance partner than something that may be more complicated or stack more stones just because it is faster in doing what it does best.
Right, exactly. So
I think
we have a quick question. Yeah. Sorry about that.
Go ahead,
we have a quick question from the audience from Infinite Awesomeness Studio. And they're asking, is there a point where you could do too much driver practice and end up wearing out mechanisms?
I don't know, because after a certain point, I guess it's just like consistency and driver practice. So I don't think that there's too much you can do where you wear out mechanisms, because like...
I think another thing with that is like, this is a robot you built. You should be able to fix any, any wear and tear that happens on it. So
also, you'd rather have it happen during practice.
Yeah.
Than, like,
Yes.
Competition.
Yes.
So,
I was going to say that.
It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about programming, guys. So you guys had a 4-stone solo autonomous in Skystone, and you won the control award at, I think, every championship you went to, or virtually every competition you attended. Your code was definitely phenomenal. Like, why do you think that is? Do you think there's any special methods that you guys use often, or any strategies to make sure your code like is always like as efficient and consistent as possible?
I think there's a few things I want to go over here. One thing is, so when we have a working autonomous, like say we come back from the Colorado State competition and we have a working 3-stone autonomous, and we want to experiment with a 4-stone for Worlds, because we want to go to Worlds being a more competitive robot. We're not going to just like immediately start experimenting on that same branch and potentially like ruin all of our working 3-stone code.
Right.
Instead, we'll create a new branch, and we do this often just because when we have something that works, we really do not want to mess with that. And like, we don't want to spend the time to fix something that fix a problem that we made because we were just because we were experimenting with stuff. I guess another thing that can help with just coding software in general is we kind of have a bigger software team. So it's easy for us to like split into pairs and then do coding ourselves, like in twos. So if we have like 4 or 5 people on the hardware team, we'll split into 2 and 3, and we'll complete individual tasks. And so we'll like get different things done at the same time. Sure. And that's definitely maybe some of the advantages of a bigger team. But it's really good. Like instead of one person coding a laptop and everyone just kind of sitting by watching him code, like, oh, you missed a semicolon there, or something like that.
So I actually have a quick question off of that. So I know one thing that I've had, or that our team has struggled with, being a larger team, is when you have like 3 or 4 people that are all on the programming team, how do you guys sort of distribute that workload, or how do you guys sort of separate out to get the same programming stuff done, right?
Yeah, so it's definitely like it's definitely just about making sure. I think if someone is interested in like the actual software that's going on, they're gonna want to step up to the role, and so that's just a matter of making sure you're not just like, software shouldn't consist of you standing there watching someone code. So like if you can make it so everyone can code, like if you give someone an assignment for them to do on their laptop at home, even then that's just keeping them involved in the coding. But if they go to every meeting and they're just kind of standing there, they're not going to be ambitious, and they're not going to be stepping up to the task of actually like wanting to code something. And with that comes like thinking like, hey, maybe we can implement this. When you've been coding and experimenting with the robot for that long, you start to like become like, oh, we can code this now. And then one thing, like we have a lot of new members this year on our software team. I think we have 3 or 4 new members that are joining our software team. And so one thing that we implemented over the summer was making sure each of them got it's just a 2-motor base, and we set them up with code on all of their laptops, so they're able to code at home. So they can, awesome. Yeah, since they're still getting used to all the coding that we do here, so they're getting used to like even making the robot move is something that's really cool for a robotics software person.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So I want to talk a little bit more about your guys' autonomous specifically. So do you guys, what type of algorithms and like methods do you use for your autonomous? Do you guys have odometry, or do you use like the Vuforia, like the VU marks on the field, or just the dead wheel encoder, or just the wheel encoders themselves? And like, do you use Roadrunner or Pure Pursuit, or like custom algorithms for the software side of it?
We use adaptive Pure Pursuit, and then just also 2 odometry wheels, one just basic X and Y odometry.
Sure.
And then just in terms of vision, for last year we used Vuforia. We didn't use a very complex algorithm. We basically just we read the pixels that we saw on the screen, and obviously yellow has a higher R value than black does. So if our returned R value at a certain point was higher than a certain threshold, then we kind of knew where the sky stones were. I actually have a test robot here if you guys want to see the odometry wheels.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, while we're waiting, guys, make sure you put in any last questions into the chat before we go over to trivia.
Oh, awesome. All right.
So here, where is it? Here.
Yep.
We got this guy.
That's awesome.
He measures strafing, so it's just like a mechanism base. And then we got the straight one right here, so it's just X and Y. And then also the webcam. This is really cool because we plugged it into the new control hub that we have.
Yeah.
So that's something that I've been playing with as well.
And is that nice. A 3D printed chassis there, Rishi?
Yeah.
Alright.
Yep.
So it's a wood base with 3D printed wheel holders. So there's actually no metal on that entire base.
Wow. Okay.
Wow, that's kind of impressive.
Sam, why use the Rev Ultra Planetary Hex motors? I really haven't seen too many teams use those, so just something I'm interested in.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if there's a particular reason like why we use them over other motors. We just sort of pick them up, and then the orbital gearboxes are kind of nice. The mounting solution is fine. Like it's pretty similar to the other motors.
Sure.
There's not any particular reason. I don't think they have like better performance than other motors.
Right. And like, what build system do you guys use in general, or is it like just so custom that you just find like parts from various vendors just whenever you need them?
Well, so when we're building, like last year, we used a lot of Rev extrusion and just like Rev compatible parts, and then we use mostly 3D printed parts that we like slide into the grooves on the Rev parts. So we like custom design a slot that goes in, and then we can push that on to mount most things. Like our intakes were mounted that way, and our wheel mounts were mounted that way, and then our I think our gripper was mounted onto the linear slides with a similar mechanism.
Sure. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, I think we are ready for the fun trivia now. So.
All right.
Okay. So actually, one other question I had: are you guys comfortable talking about like your fundraising efforts and like the business side of your team?
Yeah, I'm sure a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. So like, how do you guys, like, how do you guys get your funds? Like, is it like all sponsor based? Do you guys charge dues and things like that?
Yeah. So we charge a fee at the beginning of the year. I don't remember exactly what it is, and then we also have gone out and tried to find sponsors from various different companies. Like one is First RF, and that's a company based in Colorado. And then we also got a sponsorship from Seagate, which was one of our bigger ones. And then I'm not 100% sure where all the finances come from, but
all right. Yeah. And Gavatronics has another question in the chat. He said, what filament does 11260 use for structural prints and others?
So we've experimented with a lot of different ones. So we have tried polycarbonate filament, PETG, and then PLA. I think we've been using PETG for some things and then PLA for other things. And because like PETG, I think, is stiffer and less flexible. And then PLA is more flexible, but like less stiff. And then polycarbonate is the most stiff and like not very flexible at all. It can break pretty easily. Well, like break more easily, but is more strong. Less. Yeah, I don't know how to explain.
Okay. All right, so I think we are ready for the fun trivia. So we've already selected someone from the audience, and you'll be playing against Sam for a chance to win $80. We have 5 trivia questions, and whoever gets the most right wins. If there's a tie, we'll use time as a tiebreaker, so don't look up all the answers. And I'll be keeping time, and I think Tyler is asking the questions, correct?
Yep, that's true. We got Amin Sainin from 17456 Atlantis. Are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Awesome. Do you know the rules on how to play trivia?
Can you explain it?
Yeah, we'll do a quick overview. So, as Abba said, you're going to get 5 questions. We do time you on those questions, so you need to answer as soon as possible. 5 questions that are generally FTC related, sometimes technology related as well. We'll start the timer right when I start reading the first question. You can pass once, and we'll come back to the question. However, if you give any other answer other than pass, that will be the answer that we accept for you. So we're going to ask Sam, who you're playing against, to take off his headphones so he can't hear what's going on, or mute one of the two. And we'll wave back to him once we're ready to bring him back on. So, all right. So with that said, I'm saying, you ready? All right, your time begins in 3, 2, 1. How many points was each beacon worth at the end of the game in Velocity Vortex?
I'm going to say 15 points.
What is one of the 2 teams that has competed at the Maryland Tech Invitational every year since its inception in 2017?
Come again?
What is one of the 2 teams that have competed at MTI every year since its inception in 2017?
Gloom Free.
Who is the current president of First?
Ron Bossy.
What was the first year of first LEGO League? What year did it debut?
What first LEGO League?
Yep.
I'm just gonna say 2008.
How many minerals were there in total on the field in Rober Ruckus?
I'm good.
How many minerals were there in total on the field in Rober Ruckus?
160.
And time. All right, we're going to bring on Sam. We'll give Sam a big wave here so he knows to come back. I'm insane. How do you feel you did? All right. Well, we'll see how he did and put him online. He's speechless as of right now, so we'll take him off for a second. And then once again, Sam, do you know the rules of trivia?
I heard you explain the rules too.
All right. So fair enough. That's good enough for me. With that said, your time begins in 3, 2, 1. How many points was each beacon worth at the end of the game in Velocity Vortex?
With 15.
What is one of the two teams that competed at Maryland Tech Invitational every year since its inception in 2017?
Gluten-free. And do I have to give two? Or
nope, just your first one. Who is the current president of FIRST?
Dean Kamen.
What was the first year of FIRST LEGO League?
Pass.
How many minerals were there in total on the field in Rober Ruckus?
64.
What was the first year of first LEGO League?
Let's go 2006.
Time. All right, we'll bring Otman Sane back on here. We're going to go through these one by one to see if we have a winner or if our next one will go up to $90. These are some tough ones today, but they're always tough, right? So, all right, with that said, Sam, how do you feel you did, Sam?
I don't know if I did that well. I think I might have got one or two correct.
All right, well, we'll find out how you did here. All right, let's go through these one by one. How many points was each beacon worth at the end of the game of Velocity Vortex? Otman Sane said 15. Sam said 15. It's actually 10. 0-0 in this. What was one of the two teams that have competed at the Maryland Tech Invitational every year since its inception in 2017? Both Sam and Otman Sane said gluten-free. Unfortunately, it's out of the box or brainstem. Still 0-0. Who is the current president of FIRST? Otman Sane said Don Bosey. And Sam said Dean Kamen. It's actually Lawrence Cohen. 0-0. Lawrence took over for Don Bosey at the beginning of the year, actually. And we actually had Don Bosey on yesterday. So we're not batting too well here, gentlemen, by the way. All right. So with that said, what was the first year of first LEGO League? Sam said 2006. Our caller said 2008. It's actually 1998. And with that said, still 0-0. How many minerals were there in total on the field in Rober Ruckus? Sam said 64. Otman Sane said 150. 150 is correct. Taking it for $80 with one question correct is Otman Sane. We almost had to go to tiebreaker. That would have been you, Sam. But Otman Sane, congratulations. You take it. You win the $80. How you feel about getting that one question right for $80?
Nice. I did not expect to win.
All right. Well, I'll follow up with you afterwards here on Discord, and that will reset our trivia down. Nicely done on that, Sam. A valiant try, and thanks for playing Otman Sane. I'll reach out to you a little bit after the show. Yeah, no, we did tell him before no throwing, and usually on some of these we do take closest, but since Otman Sane was exactly on 150, we gave that to them. So congratulations on the big win there.
Yeah, I mean I've heard from a lot of past shows that the trivia is a little bit easy, so this one was a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah. All right, let's get into our ending. So thank you all for all the follows and subscriptions we received today. Don't forget that you can subscribe for free if you or your parents have Amazon Prime. We hope you enjoyed this episode of FTC Recap. If you want to stay connected with what First Updates Now FTC is doing, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram with the handle @FunFTC, and join our Discord through the link in the chat.
We're always looking for feedback, so reach out to us on the Fun FTC Discord to let us know what ideas you have for future shows. We want to bring you the content that you guys want.
And Tyler, before we end the show, do you want to read our supporters for this show?
No, I'll just give a big shout out in general to everybody who has supported with subs and bits today. It always helps Fun stay loud, live, and independent, and we appreciate your support.
All right. On behalf of myself, Ashray, and our producer Tyler working behind the scenes, as well as our guests Rishi and Sam, I would like to thank you all for tuning in. Bye.
Thanks for watching. If you want more fun content, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. Thanks to all of our co-executive producers on Patreon and Tier 2 Plus subscribers on Twitch, keeping fun loud, live, and independent.